What's Dewey?
It's the base.
LOSO underscore G.
DK, the engineer.
It's your boy, Letter After T, B4V. You go, boy.
It's the base.
Run down.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Esther Salas, she was the federal judge whose son was murdered and husband was injured in an attack. Assailant dressed as, I think it was a FedEx delivery person, came, entered the home and murdered their son, wounded the husband. She wasn't hurt. However, she presided on many big cases, including parts of the Epstein case. But as it turns out, the assailant was actually a lawyer himself who was involved in a trial with the judge. So basically, she put out a video recently talking to the public. She talks about the incident. She talks about her oath as a federal judge and her responsibility. She talks about how the shooter had a dossier of the family. So the shooter knew exactly, what they did, what their movements were, where they lived. Had a good idea of their routine. And she mentions how all that information is readily available on the internet. And then she mentions, how federal judges and other important high-ranking folks should be protected, like their identity should be protected, and things of that nature. So yeah, that's pretty much the entire video.
Whole thing. The one thing that caught my attention when she was talking, was that she was actually in the place. She was actually at home when the person attacked her.
She was home. She wasn't at work.
She was upstairs. She was upstairs.
Dude, upstairs. I thought she was downstairs.
Yeah. Now that y'all know that.
2 weeks ago, my life as I knew it changed in an instant, and my family will never be the same. A madman who I believe was targeting me because of my position as a federal judge came to my house.
Did the husband survive?
Yeah, he's in the hospital currently, but he survived.
All right, that's at least a silver lining. But nobody should, witness their child being murdered, and almost like, could you? Oh my God, could you imagine if she would have lost her husband and child on the same night? That'd have been.
That shit is crazy, bro.
Yeah, I mean, it's really unfortunate. One thing that I thought was worth noting is that she mentioned about how they were the assailant was able to gather information about her, like over the internet, or at least that was what was implied later in the video, which is interesting because a lot of people search websites. There's a lot of resources to find people, particularly people post on social media. There are a lot of vectors for someone to like invade your personal life, your personal space, and to find you. And she mentioned about having protections for federal judges and similar figures to have some sort of anonymity and protection, which made me think is that why not have that for all people, But it was pretty interesting to me when she brought that up, because privacy is a huge issue, and part of the advantage of using the internet, being interconnected, is that we all get to share our stories, we all have easy access to information, but a downside is that we're also pretty vulnerable too should we be targeted. So that's definitely an interesting point.
Yeah, we mentioned it before about the Twitter police and like how it's so I mean, and this whole cancel culture, it's kind of like a double-edged sword. Like, it's terrible that somebody can find everything about you with a Google search or with a facial recognition, whatever software they have available to them, how they catch these guys. That part is scary. The flip side of that is, when you find these people that, do these crazy wild shit or racist shit or, really inhumane things or whatnot, or racial profiling, whatever. Yeah, you can find them and you can cancel them. Yeah. So it's like a balancing act between, all right, this is great that you can get these jerks, but at the same time, this is terrible because something like this can happen to to an elected official. You know, she's a judge. Like, her information, I think, should be like really difficult to access. You know, I know FBI agents and you know, high-ranking FBI agents and field officers and whatnot. Like, it's hard to get their kind of information. You would think, but
so
clearly,
I think that everyone should be entitled to that privacy, but that's just me. I don't think I don't think that should be specifically given towards, you know, I don't think anyone should be entitled to that more than the average person. That's just my opinion, though.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
But I mean,
I guess, how do you find, my fault, I was thinking, like, how do you find that balance, right? Because it's just like, yeah, that's ideally what we would want, but we're past that. At least at this point, we're past that, like, information is private phase. At least for now. Who knows if something will change down the line. So it's like now there's a lot of public information about the regular folk out there. So, you know, it clearly regular folk obviously overlap with people in office or public servants and stuff like that. But I'm specifically thinking about, like, access of information to public servants. I feel like people who serve the public, there should be some type of information, general information available, you know, about them. Clearly, you don't want something like as private as, like, you know, where you live and things like that. But I think there should be some amount of information that we can collect about, like, public servants specifically. But I think that this really just goes deeper into the subject about, like, just data and, you know, the information that we've given like willingly without really knowing, like, the consequences out there. Like, there's mad data out there, but it's just a matter of, like, you know, if someone's willing to go out their way to do something malicious with it. Like, I mean, I work with data, right? And it's not like it randomly becomes useful. Like, you have to structure it in a useful way. You have to organize things in a useful way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm with your point, Deacon, for sure. Ed, your point as well. I mean, I feel like there should be some type of checks and balances with all of it. Honestly, like, yes, you know, there should be, and really, again, it's a matter of safety at the end of the day. That's why I always look at it. Even before something like this came, I'd always think about that. Like, you know what? I don't really want my address being out there like that. You know, some crazy dude could just show up, or if I'm involved in a scandal. Exactly. Or or like somebody could find out a relative of mine or a friend of mine. Like, yeah, this guy or this girl or this is their aunt. This is his aunt or uncle. This is where they live. Yada yada yada. We should go there and throw a brick through their window. Like, all this kind of stuff. All this stuff goes through my head, bro. And that. And again, like I keep saying, I feel like at some point there needs to be some type of checks and balances, some type of regulation to the information, especially personal information of people. You know,
well, people have. Oh, my bad. Wait.
No, you can go. You want to?
No, go. You didn't say anything yet.
Out of the four of us, I'm probably the most active on social media in all domains. Instagram, Twitter. Well, I think me and Ugo are probably like neck and neck in Facebook.
Yeah, I think you and Ugo are like neck and neck.
Yeah, and it's like, even with that, I have a boundary on what I would post and what I would not post. So nobody would know that you three are my friends outside of the podcast. And even then, they wouldn't know where you are, where you live, what you're doing right now. It's just
unless you share your stories.
Unless I do that, right? And even with that, it's still, I'm not putting the streets up on the stories.
True.
And when I do post, I'm posting hours after I was already there, because it's a safety thing in my mind. I watch too many movies. It's too much stuff where niggas just pop up somewhere where you are. Mostly women. It's too much stories where people pop up where you are or ask you where you are. So I have to kind of stagger. And this is not me saying like I'm a target of anything, but if something were to happen and it was because of social media, I can't look back and say, damn, why did I post that when I'm dead? So I'm not even trying to like make the mistake.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, my bad. No, go.
Well, the two examples I think of recently are with Triple X Tentacion and Pop Smoke. These are two rappers. Obviously, they were involved in some, in that lifestyle of being that tough guy image that some rappers portray of like, yo, I'm out there, I'm in these streets, pull up, yada yada yada. They would troll and do that to a degree, which kind of made themselves targets and make themselves vulnerable. But in both their cases, when both those young men were killed, they gave their location where they were. And in the XXX one,
wasn't it accidentally though?
Well, you
don't gotta post, bro.
You don't have to post.
Bro,
you don't. You really don't. Like for instance, the Pop Smoke one. I think he was at a house party. He's on IG.
He was home, and he was in LA.
Yeah.
And he ended up posting he was trying to show the suitcases in the Airbnb, blah blah blah.
True. And he ended up posting his location, right?
He put his fucking address by accident.
By accident.
He scanned past the address while doing a overview.
Yeah. Okay. That's
exactly.
And niggas freeze frame.
Mm-hmm. They screenshotted it.
Address, and they were like, robbery.
They SVU'd that shit, that freeze frame. They zoomed in. They were like, clear up the picture. I'm just talking shit.
Well,
triangulate.
The thing is, it's like it's one of those things. There's nothing's gonna happen on any sort of level unless people give a fuck, right? Because right now people value convenience and social media over security, right? The fact is, if you post on social media in any capacity and your shit is out there, you could be a target if someone is. I mean, the thing is, right? The advantage is that there's millions of people. Everyone's on social media, so it's no different than being out in public. Someone has to specifically target you. But if someone wants to specifically target you, if you have a social media history and you have an active account, then it doesn't matter how careful you are, you could be targeted easily. They could, geolocation, they could do all types of things to find out who you are, where you've been. And, it doesn't take a genius to like narrow it down, I mean, as of right now, if you want to remain private, you have to take it into your own hands because there's no real apparatus, on a government level that makes people secure. It just doesn't exist. So you have to take steps. Like me personally, like I don't care if certain information is out there, but I always Google myself. Not always, but like and occasionally I Google myself and see what information's out there. And I'm comfortable at what information is out there because like my current address isn't anywhere that could be found, right? There's just certain ways to like check and things like that. So it's like you just got to be careful if you're worried about it. But people don't give a shit enough for anything to happen. It's like,
hey, I'm all over the internet, bro. What's going on?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and the thing is with people search sites, people don't realize is that even though that information is public, you can actually request to have those things taken off. It's just that no one ever does. Like, you can actually send them a request to have it taken off and they have to abide by it, right? But people generally don't go that far. People generally don't,
While we're on the topic of things that can kill Fab,
Subway.
I wanted to quickly talk about just really kind of like lump together. I mean, every week we kind of always talk about just COVID in general and specifically what's going on in the school system. So I actually had a bunch of articles that I linked in before, like the stuff happening in Indiana, Mississippi, and then one of the superintendents getting COVID. What we said for mad weeks, like, yeah, if schools pop open, if they don't do it correctly, cases are just gonna go up. Like I'm just gonna save everybody, that's kind of like the obvious type thing. There is one other thing I do want to kind of bring up about it, but Fauci actually had and everybody trusts Fauci. I mean, I don't know the guy, but he looks like a trustworthy old uncle. But he actually had something kind of interesting to say about the schools reopening. I guess I'll say before I put it on, I do agree with him, but I felt like he was kind of like using the like a cop out. He kind of gave a cop out answer for it, which is it depends.
The default position is that we should try to the best of our ability to get the children back to school and keep the schools open. because of the considerable deleterious downstream ripple effect negative consequences of keeping the kids out of school. That's a default. But it really is going to depend on what the viral activity is in the place that you are right now.
I shared a picture in the portal. I think you had showed it earlier with the school in Georgia with the kids were like wall to wall next to each other.
Yeah.
A friend of mine from college, from Penn State, I don't want to tell his name, but he teaches in that district. He's from that district, and but I think he teaches at a private school, however. So he is now, mind you, he understands he's from Georgia, red state, Trump bullshit, this, that, and the third, but he's not of that mindset at all. Like he's, I swear, you would think he's from New York, New Jersey, or up north. But
or he just doesn't want to die. Like.
Exactly. But he basically I think what the school is doing, what that district is doing, in particular, is the teachers have to come to school. But some students aren't. They can teach remotely, so the students can learn from home, but the teachers have to be in the building. I've got a couple friends who are in that position or whatnot. Obviously, a lot of the issues we had mentioned before. Again, we're talking about pre-existing conditions for certain teachers and their children and the people they live with and their loved ones and so forth and so on. So it's a lot of factors to factor in. Again, and like Fab, and like I'm an educator myself, so I think of that about that 1000%, and it's like it's a lot to think about in terms of health versus your career versus safety. It's a balancing act, and it's a balancing act. A lot of educators, they're in that position right now, all throughout the country.
If you're in a state, right, where you can social distance, right, where the cases aren't a lot, clearly your kids could go back to school, and if y'all can manage the cases and keep social distancing, then do that. There's probably a lot of private schools that can manage that, but I think specifically for like cities and things like that, I don't think they're gonna be able to manage that, regardless of how much planning they do.
Agreed.
I just don't think it's possible. I think it would be just cheaper and logistically easier to just make everybody 100% remote. And just move forward.
It's a numbers game. We talked about all the time. It's a numbers game. You got a school of like 2,000 kids that are already dealing with overcrowding to begin with. A lot of these inner city schools are already dealing with that, right? And then you throw a pandemic in there and be like, well, we're going to be safe and social distance. Well, you already have too many children there to begin with, and underfunding, and a whole bunch of problems that already were neglected coming into this situation. And then but you want to throw in, but they got to be back in school. And we're gonna do it safely. Like how?
Yeah. And it's like you know what's so the picture that I'm sharing with y'all right now, this is actually a picture that a 15-year-old took.
Oh man, school. They're all gonna die, bro.
My boy.
You know what they did?
He works in that district, and he said that's facts, bro.
The kid was suspended, my man, for 5 days for posting the pic.
Bro, that kid is a fucking martyr, and he'll be rewarded in the afterlife.
Absolutely. Shoot, I'd sue. I'd tell my
the fuck, like, how dare you, bro?
Yeah.
Like if that asshole kid, remember the kid that his parents sued the news station because he was like smiling in front of a Native American rally or whatnot a couple years ago, and like I think he was a Trump supporter, by the way. I think it was like in Connecticut, like some all boys Republican Catholic school.
Oh, I remember that story.
Yeah, the kid won like 20 million or something like that from like ABC or CBS or CNN.
That's OD. But people did OD on him though.
They did.
I agree.
Yeah,
he's a little kid, man. He's stupid.
Like he's a kid, and like they I mean, he was being weird, but they took it out of context. If you see the video, the dude walks up to him and starts doing that, and then he's smiling. So they freeze frame it and make it look like the kid got in his face and was like, "Yeah, you don't have half of Oklahoma yet, bitch."
Pocahontas wasn't real.
While we're on the topic of getting in people's faces.
Getting in people's faces. Oh man.
I don't know.
So the Senate relief package, your $1,200 is not coming yet. I'm sorry, folks.
Trump
even today, circa August 6, 2020, on the Senate floor, Democrats and Republicans still can't agree to another stimulus. So as of right now, you said what?
You're not fucking with it.
I mean, $600. So the $600 for unemployment is done. $600 extra. So that's done, at least for the time being. And yeah, it's a Senate battle. Each side wants their thing. So the Republicans, at least here's how I interpret it: the Republicans, they want to give out less aid, and the Democrats are inflexible about not having their demands met. So it's like a stalemate, and people, particularly people who are on unemployment, particularly people who have been disenfranchised to being evicted, or not being evicted, but like being, just not having money. They're kind of left out in the cold. So everyone's waiting with bated breath to see what's going to happen next.
Well, I mean, it's like the two major sides are Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer on one side for the Democrats, and for the Republicans, it's Mitch McConnell, it's Steve Mnuchin, and Mark Meadows, I think, who's the speaker for the White House or whatnot. And the Republicans, like Ed mentioned, they want more of a short-term fix. And Democrats are just like, we're definitely not falling for that, because we know you guys. We do the short-term fix. 4 to 6 months, when this thing is definitely possible, this thing is still raging in one way or the other, they're gonna be like, can we come back to the table? And Republicans will be like, no, we already helped you. why would we do that? Like Republicans want to go for $1 trillion right now. And they kind of backed off on the $600 to $200. They backed off on that because they know that there's no way in the world the Democrats are going to sign off for that. That's too much of a drastic cut. I think at this point, circa August 6th or whatnot, they're not Nancy and Chuck. They're not necessarily like dug in. I said what I said, 600, so much as I think they're willing to go down to 5. I don't see it going below that. I definitely don't think they're going to settle for like 4. I think somewhere either 6 or 5. I think that's where they're going to. I think honestly, in my opinion, I think they'll settle at 5 because the
5 trillion?
No, $500 a week in unemployment relief. I think it's going to be somewhere around 2 trillion, because Republicans want 1, which isn't happening. Democrats with the HEROES Act, they want 3. And the Republicans are just like, well, we gave, how much was the CARES Act? CARES Act was about 3, wasn't it? Or 2.5?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're just like, we're not going to give you another CARES Act. We didn't want to, again, Republicans, they hate anything universal. They hate anything like universal health care, universal wage, universal unemployment increase. They hate anything to do with that because, again, they're just like, we're not Canada. And we're not going to pretend to be. Versus the Democrats are just like, listen, like let's realize that there's no timetable to this. I keep saying that. I keep coming back to that, and Democrats and followers of this story keep coming back to that. They're just like, if you go with a short-term plan, that's not really wise, because it's not like the projections are saying, well, COVID's only going to last a couple more months and then it's going to be done. That would make sense to be like, okay, let's get a short term in there. But no,
that's debatable.
That's debatable.
That's debatable, because if Trump is right about the numbers, the COVID deaths are lower, and they're going to keep going lower, like he argued on Axios, on HBO.
Segue God.
Do you want to say anything about this?
No, just play it. Just play it. I want to play it. There's nothing to say. Let's just play it, and then we'll say something. This is hilarious.
This SNL parody is brought to you by Snickers.
In numerous categories, we're lower than the world.
Lower than the world?
Lower than Europe.
In what? In what?
Oh my God! What a fucking grifter, bro! Oh my God! It's funny. You can even see by his body language, as soon as he's it looks like he never even saw the graph, and then he's looking at the graph and he's like, like he's trying to find anything good, bro.
We're last.
Whatever direction
means we're first.
Action makes it look like it's going up.
We're last, so that means we're first. Bro, when I when I first saw this came up in my feed, I was like, okay, this isn't real. As usual, I have my usual disposition. I was like, this is definitely like you know those meme videos, people like they'll do a video of Trump and then they'll insert themselves like doing some crazy shit and they'll put it on TikTok or whatnot. Yeah. I thought it was one of those parody spoof like mashup memes. I swore it was. But then I have HBO Max. And then they shared I watched the entire interview. And this really happened. And even the reporter is just like, what did you read? Wait, who did you talk to? Bro, comedy, dude. Comedy. It's like, how else can you look at it? How else can you do it besides comedy?
Oh my God, this guy, like, here's the thing. There's clearly a problem, right? There's clearly a problem.
You think?
Republican. There's clearly a problem, right? So it's clear, like, even in, damn, how do I say this? It's like, we know that you want to downplay what the fuck is going on, but it's like, don't shoot yourself in the foot. Like, I almost felt embarrassed for him, right? I don't give a fuck about, Trump in general, but I almost felt bad for him. It's like, damn, bro, like, he was just grasping at straws so hard. And it's clear that there's an issue. It's clear that the response was less than desirable. And it's just like, oh man, like, why would he even do that interview? Like, if I were him, I would just be doing no interviews.
Because you're an idiot?
Period. Like, no fucking interviews. I would just, like, be silent. I would just speak to my base, do the White House addresses, whatever, and then that's it. Why would you do an interview? Holy shit. Like, who's on his team? Like, who's on his team? I would have told him, like, yo, just shut the fuck up, bro. Like, just let the numbers do what they do. Just shut up. You want to get reelected in November, just shut up, bro.
Listen, man, this is the way narcissism works. Like, come on, man. Like, I'm pretty sure he does have people in his crew that are like, bro, like, why is this guy still talking or whatnot? And I'm pretty sure a lot of those people have been fired. or they're afraid to speak up. Or they're afraid to speak up because they will be fired, man. Like, yo, this dude is he's an egomaniac. Like, here's why I don't empathize with him. I really don't, for a number of reasons. Because I'm very informed about his fuckery, dude. Even leading up to his election to be the president of the United States. It's like, dude, like this guy has a history of just like, downplaying like the most serious things, dude. Like even in this interview, and he got shit for it all week. Like, I knew he would. Like, the guy, like the freaking reporter, Jonathan, what's his name? He's just like, yeah, dude, 6,000, like, you got 1,000 deaths a day. That doesn't bother you? And this guy says it is what it is.
Right.
Really? It is what it is. You're not just the CEO of Trump Hotels Incorporated. You're the fucking president of the United States.
You're the CEO of the world.
You're the CEO of the free world, dog. Like, it is what it is. You don't say that with 153 deaths and counting, dog. But again, when you're a narcissist and a sociopath who lacks complete empathy, he's maintaining that even in the interview, he's like, Florida, numbers are going down. And the reporter's like, no, they're not. Arizona, Texas, numbers are going down. He's like, yeah, in Arizona maybe, but Texas, no, they're not. Cases are going up. Deaths are going up. Like, you can spin that bullshit to your base, and who aren't going to call you out on it, but to your base, not the base or the base rundown. Presented by speakers. Like, you can spin that to your base and your minions, but you can't spin that to a competent journalist who's going to call you out on your shit. Like, that's his job to do. Even Fox News is done with his fuckery, dude. They're just like, yo, like, we're on your team, and he calls us fake news now.
Period. So,
like, oh, he's trash, dog. He's trash, and there's more on Trump in this show for sure. Like, we're gonna keep it going. Like, I don't really like to make this a Trump centric like show or whatnot, or just bash on him because it makes us sound like raging liberals, but because I know I'm not. But dude, it's fact is fact. So we're in the middle of a pandemic, and this guy's an idiot in every sense of the word.
Yeah, man. I mean, the best thing that Joe Biden can do right now is just shut the fuck up and let Trump self-destruct.
Yeah, dude, let him. Yeah, exactly. Of course he won't.
Well, he might be in store for some new competition because the Republicans have no chill, and they've called upon the aid of Kanye West to help them in their battles.
Non-factor. Next.
Shout out to the New York Times.
But it is funny that Republicans do kind of want to get him on the ballot just to siphon whatever votes that they can. But it's just like,
no, they're late as fuck.
Yo, I've got Ed's freaking response to like this 1,000.
It's like, bro, you trying to. You said what?
So what's the actual story on this?
Well, I since I posted the article, New York Times broke this story circa August 5th at night, basically saying, listen, we have very credible sources that we know the Republicans are backing this guy, not to win, but specifically for the purpose of splitting and siphoning votes in major swing states. They're targeting swing states. I mean, from a political strategic standpoint, it makes sense. This is what I would do. It completely makes sense because we talked about this, in past episodes. The reason why a big reason besides him cheating, obviously, Trump winning, was he won all the 50-50 balls. He won all the swing states. So swing states like Ohio and Pennsylvania and Florida, those are the states that that Trump supporters and lawyers and boosters, they're like, yo, we got to get this Kanye guy. I mean, he's a fucking lunatic, but we got to get this guy on the ballot because if any vote we can get away from Biden that can give us another % or two, that's major in the grand scheme of things. So this is what they're doing. I love how the New York Times quoted like everybody we have the facts on all this, and they detailed it perfectly. But they're just like everybody we reached for. They were just like, yeah, no comment. Like, we're not going to speak on that. Like, duh.
Yeah, this is. I mean, he addressed the people in Kevlar. I don't know, man. It's just from an optics point of view. Like, holy shit. Like, come on, bro. Like this is actually a low. This is this is sad. Like I here's how we know that he'll grow as a person. If he looks at this 10 years from now and then just cringes, that's how you know he's a better person.
But he won't. I don't think he will. I have zero faith.
Hopefully he's alive in that amount of time because he seems pretty self-destructive. But I don't know. Who knows? But
Well then, while we're on the topic of self-destructive behavior,
segue God.
This is actually something I wanted to talk about a few weeks ago, and I'm still kind of collecting information of it because I don't really know all the implications of it. And to be honest, it is a lot of this shit sounds kind of like borderline like conspiracy type shit. But a few weeks ago, I believe it was like on July 15th, the federal government mandated that everybody change how they're change where they're submitting their data to. So as opposed to submitting it, I think it's the National Health and National Health Safety Network. They're usually the ones that are in charge of collecting the data like this. Yeah. And so they collect the data and it goes straight to the CDC. And they use that information to inform everybody about that. So the federal government changed that. So what they did is that they hired a private contractor, and they created this thing called teletracking. And it's just a system that initially when they marketed, what they claimed they were trying to do was trying to update the system because the CDC, even though they upgraded they upgraded some of their infrastructure when COVID started like happening in order to be able to react to that, it's still not enough to do like real-time tracking. And I'm not going to debate how possible it is given how like a lot of hospitals run and stuff like that, but whatever. The entire point was we're gonna give everybody the standard. Everybody's gonna everyone's gonna input the information the same exact way to the same system every day. So you guys are gonna get like really up to date information. Because if I'm not mistaken, the CDC is like some of their data can range from like I think like a week to 3 weeks old. It just depends, because some of the data that they have is or some of the data that we see is really like forecasts or just models that they build.
Yeah,
and
projections.
Yeah, and it gives you a projection about that. But whatever. So they made this change, and long story short, there's just problems with it. Essentially, it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing, which is giving everybody real time information.
Right.
I mean, there's a few other things that doing that. So like clearly, like when you go from one system to another, any system, especially like at the time right now of crisis, you should expect problems, period. But their information is just like more incomplete. Like they don't have a bunch of information. Like they don't have they don't include like veterans. Essentially, it's just not working the way they expected this to be. And not only that, like they're not providing people with the same projections and models that the CDC was providing. So they're not able to work with the same type of information. And just period, man. Like, I guess it's supposed to be easier, but as we expected, things are going bad. Like, I wouldn't say, like, I when I first saw this, like, there was a lot of, when I first saw this, I was surprised. Clearly, there's a lot of backlash. I think anything that is now specifically because of Trump, which is going to scream conspiracy, you create this new system in the middle of a pandemic, and, you expect your numbers to be accurate. But whatever, man. Several states are complaining about their numbers not being accurate. It's inaccurate because we changed the system, and not everybody's putting in the information the way it should be. When I checked earlier this morning, I saw that it was actually, the data was 2 days old. Some articles were talking about the data being some data being like a week old and shit like that. I'm not sure how the CDC is still collecting their data. There could be multiple ways to do that, because like you can actually submit your data through two different ways. You can submit it straight through to their portal, to their teletracking thing, or if your state decides to be responsible for handing in your data, you submit your data to the state. They do whatever they do, and then they send it into the teletracking system at once. So I worry about this because I think back to what we were just talking about with the HBO Axiom and them trying to downplay the numbers. I feel like this is kind of like I wouldn't say this is not the plan, but I think the intention is to kind of cause a little bit of confusion, to kind of, make the numbers feel a little bit more unreliable. Hopefully that's not what's going to end up happening, but I can't stop screaming like this is intentional in my mind when I read this shit. And I'll keep updating y'all as the times go by on this, because it's like I held on to this because this happened like 3 weeks ago, but I held on to it, and it's just little information coming in now, because it's also like I'm like, how else can anybody else, prove this, like how can anybody independently prove this, that the numbers are or not accurate? Like you'd have to, be investigating the stuff at the hospitals, or have other systems in place that you could double check against. But that's it. I'm done rambling.
Well, I mean, I think your stance is valid, and I appreciate it a lot. I think that the issue that arises with conspiracists and COVIDiots is they take a convoluted aspect of what you're saying, and then they're just like, see, they're lying because it's a hoax and it's not real. And yeah, I'm an American, and and this is violent. And you see what I'm saying? Like a lot of the, because what I do is I always try to understand fuckery or foolishness. Like I want to understand I don't want to just dismiss it. Like even like Chappelle said that, he's like, to call somebody crazy is dismissive. Like, it's much more tangible to understand why that person is saying, or why that woman is saying what they're saying, or believe what they believe, and then develop an informed opinion. Like, okay, all right, this is just how they feel, or these are the factors that lead up to how they feel, so to speak. So I definitely take the numbers from the CDC or projections, definitely from news outlets. I'm sorry, news productions. I take those always with a grain of salt, but at the same time, of responsibility that goes into that, and I feel like with the COVIDiots that are not helping at all to what's going on right now throughout our country, I feel like they're taking like they're using their Google degrees and they're using and their freedom to think and research on their own. Again, I say research because most of these people don't even know how to research because they're not trained and they don't have common sense. They're taking it and they're taking it completely in the other direction. But the tangible way of thinking and questioning and trying to understand and get the absolute, because again, when you're independent thinkers like ourselves and independent researchers like ourselves and content creators like ourselves, it is our duty to do the absolute best to find the truth or as many facts as possible so that we're not misinformed and we're not misinforming other people. You see what I'm saying? So I commend you for that, for this your line of thinking with the CDC numbers and things of that nature, because it's important. It's important, and it's important to understand what news productions are doing, what the media is doing, and what politicians who are politicizing this pandemic, what they're doing. Again, what's coming up in a couple months? The election. So, like, again, a lot of seats, a lot of jobs are on the line. You feel me? So CDC numbers and COVID and pandemic and yada, 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 it all ties together, man. It all ties together.
Well then.
Did you call them COVIDians?
COVIDiots. I think my boy put me onto that a couple weeks ago, and I can't stop using it. I use it in my Facebook posts all the time. It's hilarious.
COVIDians is funny. It's not like a real strand of people.
It's a race, dude. It's definitely a race. Ed Boy loves it.
I'm mildly entertained by it. It's okay. It's not bad.
I have a translation for this shit.
Basically, tragedy in Beirut, an explosion on a port in the city of Beirut in the country of Lebanon. It's in northern Africa. And, I think death toll, they're still counting the death toll. We really don't know what the death toll is, because when you have explosions like these, like, they could discover bodies like weeks, months from now. Yeah. But it's over 100 dead, over 5,000 injured. I think we should just play the video, and then we could talk about what actually happened.
Oh.
Son, that shit looks like a movie, bro.
Yeah, dude, it looks like some Day After Tomorrow shit, dog. Or no, actually, like I said, some Independence Day shit when the aliens blew up the White House. That's the shit it looks like.
Yep. Look at that mushroom, bro.
Yeah.
The mushroom.
And the after effect of the sound.
The aftershock is incredible,
yeah.
Man. Oh.
So basically, they suspect about 3,000 tons of ammonium nitrate was largely the cause of the explosion. Ammonium nitrate is like a compound that you find in fertilizer. They use it for various explosives. And I'm looking at the updated story. They actually did a little, let's see. So basically, they're tracing back this whole explosion to a Russian cargo ship that landed on the port 7 years ago. So basically what they're saying is that they were carrying about 3,000 tons of a combustible chemical, ammonium nitrate, and it was supposed to go from Georgia, the country, like the country in, right below Russia in Asia, to Mozambique. That was the original path of the vessel. Yeah. However, they made a stop in Beirut, and then apparently there's some negligence where they were supposed to pack more things onto the vessel and to go. However, the captain objected, and the story is still a little fuzzy, but basically the owner of the vessel eventually abandoned it at the port in Beirut. So essentially what happened is that they just had to unload it due to safety reasons. And it's just been there. The way it was packed apparently was done so, for, you know, it was done in a way that didn't really take safety in mind. And yeah, it's crazy. I guess more information will come out, but it was initially bound to Mozambique from the country of Georgia.
7 years ago.
7 years ago.
So the captain was like, "Just you wait."
I mean,
and then 7 years later.
Yeah, they identified the captain. They identified the owner, the people who are on the vessel.
They're all being detained now, too. By the way, the country's like, "Yo, we're locking all y'all up until we find out what the hell happened."
It's a whole piece of the shit. It looked like somebody bit that shit off the map, bro.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's really unfortunate. And then you have like different videos showing different perspectives, like some people in their apartments. There was one video where there was a bride. She was like doing like a picture. She's doing like a photo shoot for her, for her wedding, and just to see it go off, it was really surreal. It was like crazy. A fucking movie, bro. It was a fucking movie, man. It's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate, and especially given that there's been explosions and violence in Beirut and Lebanon, over the years. I mean, I guess people must have thought like, shit kicked off, as soon as they heard the explosion.
It was ready. It was like, it's time.
Yeah, man. It's really sad.
It's crazy.
That's crazy. I think it's very fortunate that it happened like close to what is it, like at a port or close to
a port,
body of water, because it's like so far away from people. And I think were they also on some form of lockdown of some sort, right? I'd imagine that there was probably something in place where there wasn't that many people.
Well, yeah, they're being ravaged. Like they're being ravaged right now by COVID, like every other densely populated country in the world right now. So right. I mean, I know for a fact as a result of this, 250,000 people are now homeless. They're now displaced now. Just because of
holy shit!
Yeah, I saw
a quarter of a million.
I saw that number. I saw that number yesterday, recently from CNN, and I was like, wow,
that's crazy.
It's like, so could you have imagined, if it was like reversed, if this would have taken place like in the middle of town, or like at the Capitol? You see what I'm saying? And so that could have been a death toll.
Yeah.
So I mean, not to downplay like all the Trump shit, like, oh, it is what it is. But fortunately, it took place further away from town, and but again, the people that did lose their lives, our hearts go out to those individuals and the people that now have lost their homes, some lost their businesses, their way of life. Our hearts go out to those people for sure.
Yeah,
that's fucking wild, son. I didn't even know about the quarter of a million people now fucking being homeless, and like that's a big ass problem to happen just all at once and shit like that. Well then, I guess while we're on the topic of immigrants or immigration, I don't know, man. Let's just jump right into this. Ooh, go. While we're talking about immigrants, aka anyone that's not American.
So anyway, I saw the trailer for this, and I know the creators of this this Netflix documentary. They were on CNN this week. I got to watch their interview. My mother watched their interview, and she was talking about it a couple of days ago. So I needed a new show to binge on, and so I saw the first episode probably like a couple of days ago. And
of what show?
Of Immigration Nation. It's a Netflix documentary series that chronicles the immigration issue that's going on in America. And it did a great job of again, I love when documentaries have a timeline and do an expansive timeline. What was that?
Tell the truth.
Tell the truth. Yeah, tell the truth. That's number one.
When they document.
Facts, 1000%. I love when they tell the truth, and I love when they create a nice, extensive, thorough, factual timeline to show that, listen, this is an issue that is a lot bigger than people even realize, that has been building for a number of years, a number of presidential administrations. And so what this documentary, not to give away too much of it, because I don't know if you finished it or not. I know Jose's watching it now.
I started watching episode 1, and that episode was already kind of like It was a little hard to get through. I didn't know if you had anything else to say before. I guess I gave.
Oh yeah, I've got a few. I just wanted to hit the main points of it. And again, I encourage everybody on the show to watch it. It's one of the best documentaries Netflix has ever made, in my opinion. I put it in my top 3 of original documentaries. What this documentary did was it tackles the issue on all sides. So it focuses on obviously illegal immigrants, the ones that come over here illegally. Through smuggling and coyotes and boosters, so forth and so on, throughout Mexico. And then it focuses on, the people that try to do it the right way. The people that actually come seeking asylum and try to get a green card and then try to apply for citizenship or whatnot. And it also tackles the judiciary side, how when these people come before a judge, they're not presiding in front of like a lower circuit judge or regular judge like you or me, citizens, we preside over if we're convicted of a misdemeanor or a felony or whatever. They go in front of a independent judge that's not tied to the judiciary branch of America. They're tied to the executive branch. So they come straight from the president. The president and his people appoint these judges with the sole purpose of denying these people entry into America. Like they have like something crazy. The numbers they were throwing out are nuts. Like 98% denial rate for some of these judges, and they all have quotas to hit as well. Like, if they don't deny or remove or deport their X amount of hit their quota number or hit their chart that's in their office, they lose their job. They could lose their job. They could lose their pension. So it tackles it from, and it takes you inside of ICE. Because again, we look at ICE as like the Death Star, this evil empire that was created to just terrorize immigrants or whatnot. But what it does is it takes you inside and really breaks down what exactly ICE is in respect to Homeland Security, the actual criminals that are involved with it, as well as the innocents or collaterals, as you guys will see when you watch it.
That was the.
It's nuts, and it covers it from so many parts of the country because again, this is a national issue, especially in densely populated states like New York, like Texas, like Arizona, so forth and on. So it's like, yeah, bro, this is in California, of course. So it's a great documentary, man. I encourage you guys to watch it. I really do.
I'll take a look, man.
It's a really good piece of work.
Yeah, that's definitely a Ed Boy documentary. Just my thought on it, because I saw the first episode, and it starts off with somebody from Washington Heights getting arrested, and that whole entire episode is just you watching how the CDC arrests people, and just like the mentality, like they show
ICE. You said
ICE,
CDC.
Yeah. Oh, my fault. Sorry. How ICE just goes arresting people.
Easy.
They start off at the beginning. You just see that they're talking. I don't remember if they specifically said the exact numbers on how much they get paid, but that was one thing that they kept saying. Like, we get paid really, really well. There was they did throw a number out there in regards to how many people they were supposed to actually hire to be new members in ICE and stuff like that. It was I want to say. I want to say it was like 100,000.
I know in respect to that idea, I know originally when ICE was started in 2003, they only had 4 offices. Now in 2020, they have 129.
Yeah, that was actually when and at the beginning, you'll see that it's just a lot of white people just, trying to get these people there. The first thing they do is that they, if somebody comes knocking at your door, right, a cop, and they're like, can I come in, right? I think every one of us would be like, do you have a warrant, right? Well, these people just automatically let them in right away. And it's kind of like one of those things that I think about, like even with me growing up and stuff like that, like having cops come over for random reasons and stuff like that. It's like they take advantage of the fact that I don't want to debate whether it's right or wrong that they're here. They already are. They do a lot of jobs people don't want to do.
No.
What?
Take advantage of the fact that you don't know.
Yeah, they take advantage of the fact that you don't know. But it's even just kind of like the mentality of some of them, because they would interview some of the ICE agents, whatever you call them, ICE cops, and it's like they catch us saying like, "Oh, I don't make the rules. I don't make the rules." It's that whole like don't blame me for following the rules of the game. And they did show a lot of people of color, like different shades of black, non-black people, Asian people too, and they all said the same exact thing, man. And it's hurtful, man, when I see people that look like us doing that shit to literally their own people. Clearly, I haven't seen the rest of it, so I don't know how deep it gets. But that first one was a little frustrating because it was just like you would see a lot of times them pulling them from their families. Like they'll go into one place, like so they'll have this list of people, and then they'll try to figure out which is the place that they're going to get the most amount of people at once, specifically like through collaterals. Like collaterals are people that are there illegal, but they're not. You don't necessarily have a warrant out for them.
You're not looking for them specifically.
So they'll figure out, oh, this person probably lives in a type of place where there's a whole bunch of them cramped. So they'll knock on the door. They're like, cops, can I come in? Bam. Nothing about a warrant, nothing. And then when they ask for the warrant, they're like, well, you already let me in, this and that. Then they'll go around, they start asking everybody for ID. And a lot of people just take everyone extra. That's just like, yeah, you're illegal too. There's some of them, there were some ICE officers that said that they don't like doing that. But then they are encouraged to do that. There was one scene where they had a guy talking to one of the higher ups. And they were like, yo, just bring everybody in. It doesn't fucking matter. Bring in the collaterals, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, the Trump administration changed everything because this was taking place during the Obama administration. Remember, the ICE was started in 2003. And even in the Clinton administration, going back further than that. Like, yeah, there's been an issue with illegals coming over and, yes, committing crime in some instances and bringing their crime and bringing their issues over here to the States. And yeah, that part's a problem. But what's going on now with the Trump administration, like he basically instituted zero tolerance. So again, they're not just looking for people with criminal records or who committed non-violent crimes or DUIs or like a low misdemeanor or whatnot or running a stop sign or something like that. They're looking for anybody, whether you committed a crime or not. They're just going around and rounding dudes up, rounding families up, and separating families. And again, it goes so deep, man. It goes to the political side of it, like on local level with sheriffs. It goes with governors and veterans too. Like that's like veterans, people that actually served in the Marines, in the Army, in the military, who after they're served, they're like, yeah, appreciate your service. Get the fuck out. We're still going to deport you, which is bonkers. It's like some crazy, like 50,000 military veterans. They through the Trump administration, who pushed for the legislation to take place after their service, they got kicked out like immediately, like just like that, as soon as they came back from duty. So it's an issue. Dude, it's deep. It's deep. It's so deep. I can talk about that documentary for the entire show. I'm trying not to because I really want you guys to watch it and us to even have like a part 2 recap of it because I really want to get you guys' take on it because it covers so much and it's going on to this day in the midst of this pandemic.
Yeah, we'll follow up next week. We'll follow up.
Yep.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, fuck it. I don't know how to transition into this.
So,
baby.
So Rock Nation partners with LIU Brooklyn to establish the Rock Nation School of Music, Sports, and Entertainment. Their intention is to start enrolling students for fall 2021, and 25% of incoming freshman class will receive Rock Nation Hope scholarships, which allegedly, will have the students graduate without debt. I don't know. I was looking through the article. It was really interesting because I didn't really find it prominently anywhere. I just kind of found it by accident. But it's just really interesting. It doesn't really detail like how the college is going to run. It just shows that they'll focus on music, sports, and entertainment. So it's like, it's music technology, production, entrepreneurship, sports management, etc.
No real curriculum.
I mean, I don't know. There probably will be a curriculum. I'm positive there'll be some sort of curriculum, but like I don't know, what that'll entail or how how it'll manifest. But I think that's pretty interesting. You know, you have someone who's from Brooklyn who's successful actually setting up like a platform, like an educational platform. I think is interesting. You know.
I guess my thoughts on it. I mean, I'm kind of like indifferent about this, right? Like I like that artists, you know, kind of are using their platforms to kind of you know, bring these type of programs in. But again, you know, it's like it's an idea that sounds nice on paper, but it's like in order to be able to develop a curriculum, and I mean, three of us here I used to be an educator. You two are still educators. It's like you have to design a curriculum that's relevant, and that's actually one of the problems with. I'll speak specifically for like engineering programs, where because the businesses change a lot quicker than curriculums could react. I don't know if that's something that can change now or that is changing ever since we left school. Mm-hmm. But that's one of the problems that I've read about specifically with like just higher education in general. So I do like the idea of bringing in more, and I hope it's people more from underprivileged communities into this type of field, right? Fields that they're interested in, not having to worry as much about money and getting the type of specifically technical education that's necessary to maybe go into these fields, or not even technical, you know, anything that can be very, very marketable. So like, I guess in short is I'm glad because I'm a fan of Jay-Z's music. I like the platform he's built. I've liked the message he's been sending recently as, you know, as Sean Carter, as Papa Jay-Z, the family man. Mm-hmm. I just hope that, you know, he could bring in the right team to kind of, you know, to execute on the vision, man. Because even like music in general, bro, like I people that have baited or people that are in the industry, I wonder how many of them can say that it was because of the school I went to or the education I went to, I got from the school, or it was because I taught the things on myself and I could have probably done it without school. Y'all know what I mean?
No, I absolutely follow. You know, and again, somebody that has a background in music and in sports journalism in this world, so to speak. Yeah, I'm gonna talk my shit. Shout at that. It's like, you know, it's a lot of the things that, you know, artists come into the game just completely like not knowing, and you know, it's really easy to say, yeah, you got a cell phone, you know, you got Google, but yeah, if you don't know what to look for, you can't find what you don't know what to look for. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, I think a tool like this, if utilized the way, and I believe in I do believe in Jay-Z. I believe in a lot of stuff that he's done, you know, with black-owned businesses, and, you know, with a lot of the message, you know, all the Illuminati stuff aside, you know, whether that's even real or not, you know, that's irrelevant. Like I trust his message and what he's been pushing, you know, for the culture, so to speak. So this kind of thing is absolutely needed, you know, in terms of to prevent artists from being taken advantage of, you know, when they get their foot in the door into the industry, as well as athletes from being taken advantage of when they get their foot in the door, you know, because there's like how many prominent black athletes. Like there was a documentary on I think it was a 30 for 30 about Broke. You know, I watched it when I was teaching at a high school, I believe. And we just watched the whole documentary, and I'm just sitting there with a guy it was a sports business class, yeah. And I'm just sitting there shaking my head. I'm just like, y'all don't even realize how crazy this is. Like Antoine Walker made $91 million.
Yeah, it was like fucking Antoine Walker was like Bosworth on it, or they had like, oh my god, they had a fuck ton of people on it. It's really sad. It was the stat was like something like 70% of pro athletes go broke, and I'm like, wow,
yeah,
that's incredible.
Yeah, and again, and again,
it's more than that. I remember it being like 80 to 90%. Like
it's a very high number.
Like had to file for bankruptcy. It was like upwards of 80 to like 90.
That's sad.
Yeah, and I even shed on this when I taught sports journalism last summer in the city. The average athlete, and especially in football and basketball, average athlete, your shelf life is 3 years. The rookie, it's shorter than your rookie contract. your rookie contract when you come into the league, if you're a first round pick or a top 5 pick, or if you're a top 10 pick, I believe, you get a 4-year deal with a 5th-year option. Everybody else, you just sign a 4-year deal. Yes, it's fully guaranteed, but that's it. So, but if your average shelf life is 3 years, you don't even make it to the end of your first contract. So what are you doing to invest and set yourself up for this career that is very short? Numbers would indicate. A lot of people don't understand that coming in. So it's important for for resources like this to help equip POCs, people of color, POL, and people of Latino descent,
people of Latinx.
to equip them with the resources that they need to prepare themselves when they get into that entertainment world. It's important, man. So shout out to Hove.
Yeah, that's fucking nuts. It's like, I guess we kind of have like the privilege of being, informed and educated, but it's like, it's just hard for me to put myself in someone who gets that kind of money. Like, hey, let's buy a Lambo with money I don't have yet. But like, okay, Yeah,
I'm about to buy a boat. I'm about to buy a boat.
That's why you don't play basketball.
Yep, I guess not.
About to buy a boat. Don't know nothing about boat insurance or maintenance or.
That's crazy to look at someone like Antoine Walker, who was like the shit, and had a stupid contract, and like I could be like, damn, and I could be like, I've never made that much money in my life, and I have just as much money as Antoine Walker. Circa.
Now, speaking of blowing your money.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but like I even seen like a documentary. I think he works for like Starbucks or something, or he was working with Starbucks, and he seemed like he's pretty happy. He seems like a pretty, put together, smart guy, who just kind of regrets being in that weird position.
And he was playing in Puerto Rico for a while, just to like make ends meet when he couldn't make any NBA anymore.
Oh, with Jesus, what's up, son? What's up?
That's messed up. That's racist.
Manduka. What do you mean? That's not racist. That's exactly how he sounded like. That's not racist.
It is.
How so? So you're saying his voice is racist?
No, I'm saying that's how he sounds. I'm agreeing with you.
Oh, I was going to say, like, Jesus, your voice is racist, sir. I don't appreciate you being yourself. You scumbag.
Manduka is delicious, by the way.
Yeah.
Shout out to our Puerto Rican brothers and sisters. Our Puerto Ricans. AOC.
AOC. Damn. Yeah, you really like AOC.
That's BAOC, dog.
You're trying to give her that AOD? What?
Oh, wow. Absolutely. But she's got a dude. She's got a white dude.
As I tell you, can be August 8:30.
Yeah.
He's back. All right, well, whatever. We could burn through these real quick.
Yeah. Well, we would have, if we started at 6:30, maybe we would have.
He's like, if you niggas were here on time.
Literally.
I don't. That's not how I speak, bro. You're not racist.
He said it super gringo too. He's like rompe.
My fault. I'm almost. What is it? The other one.
That's the Boricua anthem. That's the Boricua anthem. That should be the intro song for the band.
We can't put
All right, let's move on to more. While we're on the topic of people who shouldn't be on the news.
More trash.
I don't understand why everybody. I don't know. I played a video, or I don't know what you wanted to say about.
Well, I'll save my stuff for afterward because I actually have a lot of information on her. So
where'd you get your information?
I've got friends in the music in the entertainment world.
That's broken.
Facts.
That's the face of a sorry white person.
Thank you, most of you. My name is on the show and everything we do, and I take responsibility for that. Ellen says, I'm committed to ensuring this does not happen again. Earlier this month, BuzzFeed first revealed allegations of a toxic workplace culture.
Basically, Ugo may have more information, but from where I read, it was mostly the executive staff and the executive producers who were who create the toxic work environment. Ellen hasn't directly, it seems like, been accused of any of the more, heinous allegations, but it just seems like she's just generally rude and kind of a dick to people, which is, I don't know, is neither here or there for me.
Well, I've got friends of friends who actually PA'd or production assistant. It's kind of like interning. Actually worked on the show, and they're just like, yeah, she's trash. Like this, like none of this is like new. Like we're talking about. I remember in one instance, like she was sharing this PA was running late, and they had to share an elevator with Ellen, and like as soon as like the day was over, somebody came up to her, was like, yeah, you're fired. Like she felt like you're not. She's so pissed that you rode the elevator with her.
What?
Like you're not supposed to do that. Or like another instance, I read this somewhere. She was doing an interview with like, I think this was in Europe. Like, and like usually when, especially big stars, their publicist or their handlers, they meet with a show prior and be like, listen, don't talk about this. Don't talk about this. They prep for it. So while they're prepping for the show, the handlers or their freaking publicist is like, yeah, okay, so when you're asking her questions, don't look at her. Don't look her in the face. And the co-host is just like, I'm interviewing her. Like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Just look at the ground? Like, yeah, so Ellen.
Yeah, one time I went to get an interview from her. She slapped the notepad out my hand and threw the pen into the grass. Fucking Ellen DeGeneres.
This whole thing reminds me of that episode of Chappelle Show when like he quits his job and then he brings on Spike. He brings on Spike Lee. It's like so and so called me a nigger.
I mean,
times from freaking Do the Right Thing. It was hilarious.
I mean, the thing is that I think the biggest thing is that she has a persona that she's supposed to be a kind person, and she doesn't fulfill that persona. But I don't feel strongly about it because it's like had she not have that persona, had she been a random person, these things would just be considered general weirdness / rudeness. Like it's like here's how I look at it. Like it probably takes a certain type of person to get to where she's at. And especially when you have sycophants around you and you have all these people pumping you up, you have your own show, it's like you probably have a certain degree of like, I don't want to fuck with people anymore, right? I'm not excusing or whatever, I don't really care what she does, but I don't know. I don't think it's a big deal. Like if she was generally harassing people, like if she really, was saying like racist shit, or if she was like, verbally
on Epstein's Island,
verbally accosting people and shit like that, then I'd be like, yeah, but otherwise it's just like whatever.
You would think that gay people are happy.
I see what you did.
I see what you did there. I'm picking up what you're putting down. But I mean, this ties into the whole speak out movement that is now, I think, an offspring of the Me Too movement, of like people speaking out about working in toxic work environments, being bullied by higher ups, by producers, by executives, interns and whatnot, talking about their past experiences. Some obviously were, a lot of the top executives here are tied into, sexual exploitation of people. Like, yeah, you want to keep your job, you're gonna have to suck this dick. You see what I'm saying? Like that kind of stuff. Like I think two of her executive producers are accused of that. Mm-hmm. And that ties into what's going on right now. with the Speak Out movement. I know even in wrestling, in pro wrestling, they have a Speak Out movement going on that started like last month.
Yeah,
I seen something about the black woman wrestler, and they're like, "Yo, she needs to be put in the forefront of wrestling" or something like that.
Yeah. There's her name's Naomi.
Yeah.
She's like Naomi from the WWE. Like she's not given like her proper shine. Is like, yo, if she was a white wrestler, she'd be the GOAT. But no, she's not like Ric Flair's daughter or anything like that.
She'd be damn, I don't remember none of the wrestlers. What's the girl name? Trish Stratus. She'll be Trish.
Yeah. Facts.
Or Lita.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
DK, that was for you.
Lita was sexy back in the day. Whew.
You remember Lita, DK? Yeah, DK was a Chinaman. He liked China.
Rest in peace to China, by the way.
She died?
Yeah, she died a couple years ago. I'm sorry I messed it up for you.
You mad late, bro. Well, then, while we're on the topic of messed up,
this actually ties back into the protests, in a way, because this happened recently, this week, circa a week of August 5th, 6th, 7th, so whatever. A white man in Pennsylvania, he opened fire on police with an AK-47. The way his lawyer described it was he was shot like 2 or 3 times. Of course, survived. It's God forbid, a white guy with AK-47 shooting at police. Like it's fucking Die Hard 1 and 2. It's John McClane. This John McClane guy over here lives to tell about it. His lawyer explained it that he's not handling the pandemic well. That's what his lawyer said. Those are his lawyers.
Well, I mean, of course his lawyer would say it, though.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but anyway, he was upset he was an anti-masker. He was asked to wear a mask at the convenience store. Wasn't really feeling that. Trump, my rights, so to speak. Went to the trunk, popped the trunk like Bone Crusher and, started letting out some rounds to show his displeasure. And he lived to tell about it, too. Again, it's not like he went out to get like a freaking Nina or Glock. It was an AK-47. It was an assault rifle.
Fucking.
He didn't hit anyone. He shot at the cops.
He
missed them, and then the cops just pieced him up.
He hit one.
So
of
the
the
movies had it right. Oh,
he hit one of the cops. I think he hit one of the cops in the arm or leg.
Did he? I thought it said no one got shot. Okay.
He hit one of the police officers. He was shot himself. They shot him like twice.
Yeah, he got shot like 3 times. They probably let out a fuck ton of rounds, so they're like, "Yo, fuck this." That guy is incredibly lucky to be alive, or maybe not. No, I mean maybe not, man. Like he's gonna get the fucking if you shoot at cops and you get arrested, he's gonna get that treatment.
Bro, he was like up, down, left, right, R1, L1, R1, L.
He's gonna get that treatment. That's really unfortunate. The guy probably has like that's something a crazy person would do, because it doesn't even there's no real justification. There had to be some sort of mental. Not that it matters, but yeah, man, it's crazy. It's crazy times, or at least not crazy times, but it's like. We get to capture the times on video, so
yeah,
we get to say shit like crazy times. But shit was always just crazy.
But if he was a POC or a POL,
murder, 40 bullets.
I don't know about that.
He'd be Swiss cheese. Bro, like black people and Latino people have been shot for less. So what are you talking about? But everyone of every race has been shot for less, though. I don't necessarily think that the cops would be like, "Oh, he's white, let's not kill him." Like, I doubt when they're getting shot at, they're making that sort of calculation. I think the dude just got lucky. Dude, if a black
let's see.
If a black guy with a fucking AK-47 accosts the police. Bro, he's not living to tell about it. You can't tell me otherwise.
I don't know. There's been
2020.
But I don't know. I'm just saying there's been black people who shot at cops and lived to tell the tale. It's not like they all die. Like
not the ones that go on social media. But let's see how lucky this guy really got.
So
was
basi-
it?
Yeah.
Well,
that was
no,
just-
that wasn't. They don't have video of him getting in confrontation with the police. They only have video of him right outside the store. So he let some shots fly in the air and threatened the guy, and then the cops saw him the next day close to his home, pulled him over, and then he pulled out his AK.
So this dude had a freaking again. This guy's fucking
Right.
this guy's fucking John McClane. So like, how many guns? I want to find out how many guns this dude actually had. Like,
He probably has a room like the Matrix, like Neo.
This dude's got freaking a whole armory, like freaking the Punisher out here, and those are the people who, if they're out of work or they're upset with the system,
Let it go.
like stay away from those folk, especially if they're. And I guarantee you, I'll put my next 600 unemployment payment on a line that he's a Trump supporter. I'll put it down right now.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. That makes
Maybe.
sense. That makes sense. We don't. Yeah, I mean, it would. Yeah.
It falls in line.
It falls
with
in
the
line.
model.
Makes
The
sense.
predictive model gives us this anticipation predictively.
Hell yeah, he's dirty, has a lot of guns, and hates blacks and Latinos and Jews.
Wait.
MAGA.
Checks all the boxes.
And that's the base.
And that's the base.
Run down.
Run down.
Pew, pew.